Welcome to the Science of Life podcast, where we dive deeper into the topics of nutritional science, Ayurveda, yoga, and personal development. Welcome to another episode of the Science of Life podcast. I'm really excited to announce the guest for this episode, which is Dr. Sujatha. She's my dear friend, my teacher, and Ayurvedic doctor at the clinic at AmrtaSiddhi in Bali, where I live. And today we're going to talk about a very important topic, in my opinion, which is women's health. We're going to shed light on women's health from the Ayurvedic perspective, and I hope you will get some valuable insights. Hello, Dr. Sujatha. I'm so happy to have you on the podcast today. And maybe it's best if you introduce yourself a bit for everyone who's listening. Who are you? And where are you right now? And what are you doing? And
Thank you, Dr. Dania. Thank you for inviting me for this podcast. I believe this is a common interest that you and me share about bringing Ayurveda into the world and introduce and empower human beings. And the topic today, which you choose, is excellent. And I'm excited about being with you here today and share my knowledge. My name is Dr. Sujatha Kekada. I'm originally from India. I've been living in Bali with my family for 18 years. And I have me and my husband, we together have created a Ayurvedic health center here in Ubud, Bali, where we help people to find solutions for their health and well-being, approaching holistically to mind, body, spirit concept, heal the diseases or find a balance or find a way to look after themselves through Panchakarma programs, different detoxes, weight loss, all those areas, purely from the foundation of Ayurveda. This is what we do.
Yeah, and you studied Ayurveda in India, and we've been working here a bit together, and I can really recommend also AmrtaSiddhi as like a beautiful clinic that you and your husband have built. And today's topic is female health. So I want to talk to you about what is female health in Ayurveda, and maybe we can start with the Ayurvedic view on women. Like, how does Ayurveda view a woman?
Mm-hmm. Ayurveda gives a bigger approach because there is one branch in Ayurveda which is dedicated to female health. It's called Stri Roga. Also, when Ayurvedic textbook defines about physiology and anatomy, there is extra shrotas or the channels which is responsible for carrying different physiology. We have three srotases basically. One is called ārtavavaha srotas, which is related to the menstrual flow and menstruation. Then we have two srotases called sanyavaha srotases, so which is related to milk production, mammary gland. So it makes it that female physiology needs extra attention here because we are created in a very unique way, and we have the ability to create. We have the ability to bring another life onto the earth. So with the whole that aspect, if you look into the fundamental creation of the human organism, it is called Prakriti. So that means the Prakriti is the nature which has the ability to create. And in the Sankhya philosophy, we have a concept of the creation which begins with Purusha and Prakriti, which is Purusha, the masculine energy, and the Prakriti, the feminine energy. So in the embodiment of this female body, we have this Prakriti energy more in us, and we are the creator. And it comes with a lot of responsibilities in the physiological level and the creativity, which gives a lot of freedom. So that means our body needs to be nurtured and paid a very unique attention. How this inborn natural gifts that we have got and embodying that, nurturing that femininity It's not about, standing equal means fighting against it, but respecting, understanding, and finding that empowerment with this gentle, creative, nurturing nature that we are embodied with. So that's how Ayurveda sees, female body, or Stri, or which means woman, and also Stri. It also means something which is auspicious and wealth, embodiment of Lakshmi.
Yeah, I think that's something I got to really value about Ayurveda, like how it sees a woman, and also, not to say that men are, not valuable, but it also stresses a lot on like specific, like you said, specific things that the female body, or in which way the female body is different, and like how to nurture that. And I think we often forget, that not only our prakruti, like our body constitution, determines how we metabolize certain things. Like in modern science, it's genetics, that like let us like even like transform nutrition or like nutritional or like food differently. And also, being a woman, that our body and our physiology works slightly different. And I think that's like a really honoring principle, and maybe we can go a little bit into what is actually important for a woman's health. How do we nurture that which is different, or which needs to be approached differently than in the male body?
Here, like when it comes to the physiology, except for the how you call the uterus or the breast as such, like, okay, let's keep that aside a bit. And then the human physiology, if you look into it, what main thing is, one of the important thing, it struck me when one of the wise pioneers in Ayurvedic world, they said a female body he has a tendency bit more towards on the tamas. So it might sound a little bit putting down, but when you understand it, because there is a three state of our mind, sattva, rajas, and tamas. And everybody's intention is being towards the sattva, the purity, the clarity, the joyful, the bliss state, both in the physical level and in the mind level. And they both contribute to each other. So you have a clean digestive system, well-formed nutrition, well energy, your tissues are working well. It's going to reflect through your mind, and vice versa. So the definition of the ratio, female body need to be a little bit more on the tamasic. It doesn't mean that lethargic, dull, ignorant, stuck, and stagnant. It means grounded. So this is the prakriti. You need to, because as we have a lot of this creative energy, there's no creativity if you're not grounded. Chaos with stability. This is what prakriti is, the expression of creativity through stability and groundedness. So when it talks to differentiating between the male body and the female body, other than the physical structure and the physiology, on the mind level, the energetic level, women's body need to have a certain level of tamasicness. And that brings the feminine qualities of nourishment, holding space, caring, loving, nurturing, creativity, all those things. So this is what the difference is, where the masculine energies can be very spontaneous or domineering and pushing and all those things, which is something women have. And, ultimate balance is both male and female nurturing it. But women, we as such, we have that. Our power comes in that, love, care, nourishment. Not only, we're not talking here just for the others. It needs to go first to ourselves and then embodying for the others, where then the masculine energy can sheltering, can trust and to receive. And then, with their power and the strength, they support the feminine energy or a female living being. So this is how Ayurveda's approach is to. So yeah, so creativity with groundedness, that's feminine energy.
Yeah, thank you so much for clarifying also again about the gunas, Rajas, Sattva, and Tamas. I think that's one of the most common misconceptions, that Tamas is like the dull, the bad, or, Rajas is aggressive. So like what I often hear from clients, but I only want to, be in the Sattva state, but to realize that these three gunas, which are also believed to be responsible for creation, like the creation of the universe, like how we need that, just we need all of that, and also not to say with like Purusha and Prakriti, it's only that one side that we have, and like this is female and this is male, like we have it all inside of us.
Absolutely.
But how can we just, integrate that part a bit more that comes natural to us? And I think also one thing you said, which is super important, like that nurturing, it's not only related to children or having children, or giving birth as a woman. It really comes down to nurturing ourselves. And from that, like the creativity can come, that just, creativity can like express itself in so many ways in this world, not only through creation of a child, and I think that's so important. And I was also wondering, when you said that this is, the female mind and like the physiology, like to have like a little bit more groundedness, how would you say nowadays society affects women's health?
Mm-hmm. See, we are into now finding equality, right? We're so much into, feminine empowerment, feminine movement, all those things. So I think at some point we probably lost, and we thought we need to compete against men to be seen equal, rather than just letting ourselves to nurture our strength. So career, focused on the career, and then going out there, looking for success and having all those things. I think at some point we start to forget the nature of our physiology, where like respecting the sleep hours, we're pushing ourselves too much physically to exercise, or even to a degree, like a change your appearance and morphology, like a masculine body, pushing too much physically and going against the menstrual cycle. This is what starts to happen, right? The difference between the men and women is we have menstrual cycle, we have womb, and the peak of our feminine energy, we get menstruation. So sometimes what happens is in this transition of finding ourselves or finding success in career and increasing our strength and all those things, we push ourselves more into the masculine way of seeing the world, achievement, or treating our bodies. And as soon as that happens, the marker which shows that, okay, so you're in the female body and this is the physiology which happens, is just disappears. And that means that I've seen, women lose menstrual cycle in their period, where the femininity or the feminine quality is much more active and strong and potent. So this is something for us to respecting our physiology, knowing the needs, and going back to the origin of, knowing your constitution. That gives a unique identity of who you are, and knowing your strengths and weaknesses, and minimizing your weaknesses and empowering your strength through lifestyle, diet, meditation, yoga, doing everything that's possible to connect your mind to sattva. Yes, it's a practice. You need to have rajas in order to reach to sattva. You can't completely jump into sattva before having rajas. Is the one which gives the motivation. And to know this motivation doesn't become tamasic, because if you are constantly, repeatedly doing something, chasing something, then it is tamas, because you're stuck. You're not seeing the truth. You're not having the clarity. So you fall back to tamas. So you want to look into working on increasing your awareness, making a difference to others, and finding a peace and content within yourself. Okay, that itself is your path towards the sattva. So that's what I would say in this current world, It's not about becoming powerful with embracing the masculine energy, but feeling powerful through the Shakti energy of loving, caring, nurturing to us and to the others, and nurturing the physiology of female body.
Yeah, I think that's something really powerful. And I also know that a lot of women might not want to hear that, and including my younger self, because we grow up with that I can do anything, I can do it the same way as a man can do it, I can work out and I can push my body really hard. And I also want to honor female athletes here. It's not about not doing that. We can really be active, we can really be successful in business. But I think we are just more successful when we honor these cycles, and to honor that, during a certain phase of our cycle, we have the most power to do those things, and there are also phases where we just need to honor that we need rest. And I think a lot of menstrual issues, for example, they come through not wanting to acknowledge that we are even more cyclic beings as men are. And I think that's so important. Just what I came to understand is also to ask myself, how do I approach things? Not if I, can I approach them, or, can I have all these things as building a business or whatever, but it's, I think, more a question of how to approach it and how to nurture myself within that, and I think that's something really important that you mentioned. How is the view of Stri Roga, the Ayurvedic gynecology, on female issues? How do you approach these things?
Ayurveda looks into Stri Roga, or the diseases particularly related to females and female organs. One common thing they say, it's a dushti or imbalance of Apana Vayu, because Apana Vayu is the one which regulates anything to do with menstruation, childbirth, sexual act, maintaining of the health of your uterus, vagina, ovaries, all those things. So when Apana Vayu, the Vayu which is responsible for the downward movement, the grounding, flow of sexual fluids, menstrual fluid, all those things. If this is getting affected, aggravated, it starts to move upwards. Apana need to move downwards. Prana moves upward. So it takes the opposite direction. So Apana is not doing its function, but it's guided in an opposite direction. Then everything that the physiology that need to happen naturally is going to get affected. So your menstruation either can take a different form: amenorrhea, no menstruation, menorrhagia or metorrhagia, overflow, excessive, more frequent menstruation, or painful menstruation. All those things start to happen, disturbing. And also I come across a lot of people in my practice that they think pain during the menstruation is normal. They start with saying, okay, the usual normal pain and the cramps I get. So it's come to a degree that the way we treat our bodies, that the menstrual pain or the emotional changes, or PMS, what we call, it becomes normal to them. They think, okay, that's why also a lot of women think, oh my God, I'm getting my menstruation. Let me put an implant or take a pill so that I don't have to go through this. But it's like you have a land bomb when you do this one. You don't know what's going on in your physiology, and it can take another form. And menstruation cycle is a real indication of health in your body and in your emotions. So menstruation cycle just shows what's not working in a physiological way. The state of prana, state of vata, and state of your emotions, where you're in your life, state of your consciousness, can be reflected through the menstruation. And that's related to the period and cycle. Then we have the PMS, when the period stops and the discomfort that the woman goes through. That's something in a natural way one can correct, and one don't need to go through all the pain and the troubles of sleeplessness and hot flushes and night sweats and joint aches and vaginal dryness, to name the few basic things one experiences. Also, other diseases as such, the PCOD, the fibroids, myoma, endometriosis, all those things can be treated in a natural way. So you just have to go back into routinely regularizing your physiology that would reflect in healing of your womb, your ovaries, the cramps and the pain and the emotion. So, if you see, as a female body itself is creativity, but the womb is the organ which symbolizes the creation because it creates another life. So if there is a blockage in your self-expression, your expression of your creativity, and you're not able to do that and not able to be truly allowing yourself to express what you want to do in your life or feel, then it can internalize. And I've seen in many cases diseases manifesting in the uterus where you fail to express your creativity and your true self externally.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And you were talking also about, that like Apana value is like the force or energy mostly responsible also for female health. Like, where would you say Apana value, or through what Apana value in women gets disturbed?
The simple, most beginning point of Apana value is getting disturbed is when you withhold urges of the Apana value. Say you need to pee, you don't pee. Because you're in a meeting or you're with a group of people, or you find your toilet where you need to go is not comfortable enough. And same thing to the bowel movement, excretion. If you control that, or you overdid by too many colonics or taking laxatives more than what you needed, this is also disturbs the Apana vayu. Or when it comes to the menstrual cycle, changing your cycle for your comfort by taking pills to that you need to move. This is something I have seen in India, particularly the Hindu cultures, that the birth control is not used so much for birth control purposes. Like when I was in my teenage, I was never somebody came to me or said that I should use a birth control for a menstrual pain or even as a birth control measures. This is not that common, but it is getting there now. I know that in the Western world, as soon as you get your first menstruation and you have an acne or you have a difficult menstruation, straight away you get birth control pills, and not for the purpose of the birth control, but for something else. So that's another thing. Your Apana can get disturbed. Withholding the urges, using contraceptive methods for other purposes, not for the contraceptive purposes, and another way is wrong practices of asanas, wrong practices of colonics. When you're menstruating, it's important that you follow a certain way of regimen to take care of yourself. In the olden days in India, it's created with a taboo kind of feeling that, okay, menstruation women should not be touched by anybody else. You should be isolated and you stay. They used to call that like a red tents. But the real meaning of this is when a woman menstruates, there's a lot of changes goes in her body, physical level. It's like a shredding of your endometrium, rupturing of the blood vessels of your uterus, right? It's like a wound formation. And also on an energetic level, there's a lot of free electrons going in, and she becomes very volatile and sensitive. That's also why you see the more you have instability, the more emotion, more unsettled. This is a chance for you to that volcano to raise and refresh and clean again. So the reason being that women should be resting, women should not be cooking, she should be fed, she should be in a very calm environment, is because her body goes energetically in uproar. So that's why she needs rest and calmness, and Agni gets disturbed. Agni becomes weak. So you need to eat gentle, easy, digestible food, do everything to nurture the Apana movement. So when we fail to do that and we practice heavy duty exercise or go to a sauna or a steam, go on running when you're menstruating, do inversions, all those things, you're creating a gradual imbalance in the Apana Vayu. Then accumulatively, at some point, it's going to manifest into a condition related to your menstruation or PCOD, all those things. And along with this, your diet plays a big role. And PCOD, there's the involvement of kapha, right? If your diet is kapha, your lifestyle is kapha, and then when the menstruation happens and you don't respect that and do what you need to do, then kapha imbalance, along with the Apana imbalance, then you develop this cyst around your ovaries and water retention and blocked, and then interfering your menstrual cycle.
I think it's so important what you mentioned also, that at one hand, it's also, it accumulates, it's not only that you do that like for a certain time and like you think, oh, you're fine, like often it also like accumulates over time, and it also depends on how sensitive your body is to like certain things, also depending on your constitution, how quickly things get out of balance. But also what I found really important to see, that this menstruation is a possibility to detox, a natural way to detox your body. And the same thing, if you're doing a panchakarma retreat, also you don't want to go and work and be immersed like in all the daily activities. And I think, as you said, like it's a common misconception that in most cultures, like women were seen as dirty. I think that's something that only came later through misunderstanding, but it's more about, not being touched. Like also you don't want to be touched maybe, during that phase, because you're very sensitive,
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be touched by too many impressions, like in all the ways, it can be hearing, it can be smelling, it can be, whatever you're exposed to. And I think it's also, just not having the possibility to properly detox every month because we're suppressing it somehow, or not giving like space for it. That leads to a lot of accumulation of ama, or, just like blockages in the channels that then create those menstrual issues. So I think, to come back to, seeing that as a chance to renew every month. And that brings us to the next topic I want to talk to you about, is the how much Ayurveda actually stresses on rejuvenation and regeneration, and especially for women, and we often see it like in the West as something that's only like meant like for the skin to not look old or to reduce wrinkles. But maybe we can just like go a little bit more into that topic to unravel how much deeper it actually goes.
In Ayurveda, your skin is an expression of your rasa dhatu, the first born tissue in the body, which then nurtures the rest of the tissues. Means naturally for your skin to be less wrinkled or less saggy, less dull. That means it needs to be repaired internally, because skin is just a mirror of what goes inside of you. And in Ayurveda, we have a branch called Rasayana, which is the anti-aging process. That means the rasa, as I said, it's the firstborn tissue, which provides the nutrition for all the 7 dhatus in our body. And Rasayana means bringing the right amount of nutrition to the tissues. So aging is a process. It's not completely due to lack of nutrition. It's the inability of your tissue to take the nutrition and transform that into what it's supposed to do. As we age, that process, that ability of your tissue is reduces. So that means shrotas start to constrict. And when menopause happens, like we generally, no matter what's your constitution predominance is, you naturally have an inclination for vata to increase. And as we know, the qualities of vata is drying. So it creates shrinking, dryness of the channel. So that means your nutrition can be very optimal, but for it to go through and reach the cells, this reduces. So the whole branch of Ayurveda, which is called Rasayana, which helps this shrotas to be open, create more space, reduce vata, so that nutrition can go into the tissues and bringing its juiciness, the blooming like a flower and maintaining the right amount of moisture, all those things. So that means the rejuvenation is the regeneration, is the process for rejuvenation, which is the whole systemic approach, not just putting fillers and things or applying cream. And that's when you do, okay, your skin looks good, but you feel dry inside. You feel not juicy enough to face the life, because the whole concept of Ayurveda is long, healthy life, not just long life. It's Ayusha. So the long life with health, long life with quality of life. So for us to give this rasayana, the rasayana is much more important when we approach perimenopause and at the time of menopause and then the post-menopause. So panchakarma as a two approach, it helps to detox and bring the body into balance. That means the energy of the vata, pitta, kapha, whichever is high, whichever is low, brings into the exact right amount for your physiology to do well. And then once that's done, by removing the excessive dosha out of your system, and then we need to nurture the body. There we start the process of the rasayana. So bringing that nourishment. On a regular basis, one can do the rasayana by getting you enough sleep, right amount of exercise that you need, doing everything to reduce the stress in your life and having more fun in your life and choosing the food for your constitution. And there are simple rasayana things you could do, like one of that is self-abhyanga. Massaging yourself with sesame oil or coconut oil for a pitta constitution, or almond oil, or safflower oil, or the mustard oil, depending on what constitution is, where you live. Based on that, this abhyanga is a great rasayana treatment. And being in a loving, caring environment is another way of providing rasayana to yourself. And taking time to sit and eat when you're hungry. This is another way of the simple thing on a daily basis that you could do to nurture yourself. And then if you have a time, once a year, like we take all our cars and machine to service it. And servicing is allowing the nutrition and the superfood or the vitamins you take to absorb better and nourish. So popping pills and popping this superfood is not the way to rasayana, because if your body is stressed and congested and have lots of vata, you're further stressing your system. So rasayana can begin in a smaller level, but then going to an Ayurvedic places, doing a panchakarma, and then following through a nurturing, rejuvenating treatments is an excellent way to nurture yourself.
It's so important what you said, and I just want to stress on that again, because I think that mostly for women, it's even more important to stress on digestive health and to stress on digestion and metabolism, because I found also when I conducted my study with women who have irritable bowel syndrome, and it's actually more women who are prone to get this disease, that also it came along with almost, and I would say 95% of the women had also issues either with the ovaries or uterus. So these diseases were closely connected. And maybe you see that as well, that this is one topic also because it's so close, the organ systems are really closely not only located in the same region, but also, as you just stressed on how important it is for these organs also to be nurtured and nourished by food. What would you say are the most common issues in your practice? Maybe the top 3, and what do you recommend in these cases? I know like every case is different, but maybe just as a general outline.
Painful menstruation is one of the biggest thing that I see, like a women with a lot of difficulties with menstruation. Other one is PCOD, quite very common. And the third most, I would say, endometriosis. People having trouble with the endometriosis, then leading into very painful menstruation or heavy menstruations. So these are the 3 common things I see in women who come to work with me or come to do the panchakarma. So everything beginning, it starts with painful menstruation. So so that means completely going against your body's nature. So not eating when you're hungry, skipping meals, irregular lifestyle of not waking up with the sun, or not going to bed at the decent time, or overusing of coffee or alcohol, too much of spicy food, not eating the food, too much of raw food. It's one of the causes, because vata increases by too much of raw food. These are the primary simple things that I see people have this apana imbalance and getting painful menstruation. And stress, stress in various forms: social stress, peer pressure, stress to be like someone else. All those things, accumulates and creates this irregularity. And simple to say this is routine, eating the right food at right time, eating the food what you can digest, simplifying your life. This is the one way that the painful menstruation can be corrected. PCOD, it's a bit more complicated. There's a lot of involvement of kapha, congestion, stagnation, lack of exercise, emotional blockages, which leads into hormonal imbalance, too much of estrogen, all those things. So here you need to work a little bit more deeper. Definitely you need a detox, you need a decongestion, you need to, go more on a vegetarian diet, reduce dairy, wheat, all these things. Endometriosis, it's a combination of both pitta and vata. So that means like too much of thickening of your endometrial membrane, and also growing outside of your uterus and connecting to the other organs. And basically, as we get menstruation, these endometrium need to shred. What happens is it starts to shred outside of your uterus as well, creating this extreme painful experience, the nerves ending in your colon or your omentum or the layer of your abdomen, all those things. So increased pitta and vata, anger, suppression, stress, and taking hormonal pills, and not able to create your own self-expression of creativity leads into endometriosis, because endometrium is a way to recreating, right? It's created with the anticipation of your ovum and sperm meeting together. So you have this wanting to create something, but you fail to do that, or you ignore that, you are suppressed that, then you end up having troubles with endometrium. So the passion of the both pitta and vata, it's together, it's a passionate, there is immense power. If that's not been expressed in your life, that's going to go in your uterus. It's an organ of creativity.
Yeah, I know that very well from my constitution, just like being vata pitta, how important it is to have that outlet, and to find a way. That was really insightful. And maybe also just like on a daily basis for like closing this podcast, like what are your simple daily tips to increase female health or to move into like that feminine rhythm?
One thing, take it easy when you have your menstruation. Don't push, don't pop, pill to go and do work. Find a way where you can create. And if you have a lot of painful menstruation, go and see a naturopath, go and see an Ayurvedic doctor, find a solution. And I want you to start believing that you don't need to live with painful menstruation. So that's one thing, if you have that, resolve that. Other than that, know your constitution and know what's the right kind of food for your constitution. Have enough time to fun other than expressing your creativity through work and passion and all those things. Go to bed before 11 o'clock, the latest. Wake up with the sunrise. The first 30 to 40 minutes of the morning time, you just go inward, do some gentle stretches, go for a walk, end with 10 minutes of meditation. Then only touch your phone. Before that, don't go in touch with the contact of the external world. Go in contact with your own world and create an intention for the day, how you want to start your day. And feed yourself by taking time to eat, depending on your hunger. Some people may need 4 times to eat small quantity of the food. Some people just need 2 good meals, and some people need 3 times to eat. Follow your hunger and feed yourself, and definitely take time to sit and eat in a quiet place, appreciating and enjoying food. So, and if you have an emotional buildup and you feel triggered, go and find a way to work with a psychiatrist or a holistic counselor, because your emotions need to be digested. If you're constantly under the influence of the emotions, that emotion can also create ama or constipation. So that will reflect in physiological, affecting your physiology too. So, simple things if I can run up again: know your constitution, find a right way to eat for your constitution, find a way to digest your emotions and feelings, create time for fun, spend some morning time with yourself before you connect to the world. And if you have painful menstruation or any other menstrual trouble or female organ related trouble, immediately go and find a practitioner who can help with you and naturally cure. Taking birth control pills for PCOD or painful menstruation is not a solution. It's an indicating of something is not going right in your physiology, and that can be corrected.
Thank you so much. I think that's just something simple that everyone can do, and I know how hard it is for most women to really feed themselves, and I can only stress on that to really sit down and make those meals the time where you nourish yourself. I think, I hope that's a good takeaway message for everyone who's listening. Thank you so much for your time and for your wisdom and sharing that with us on this podcast. And where can people find you? Is it possible to consult you online? How about AmrtaSiddhi, when people want to come to Bali and experience Panchakarma, rejuvenation or anything? Let us know how we can find you.
We have a center in Ubud, Bali, so people can come and experience the Panchakarma or whatever that is suitable for them to heal their body and mind and learn about themselves and how to take care of themselves. Other than that, I do offer Zoom consultation. If some of you who are interested and you can't travel now to Bali, you can contact our office through our website, www.amrtasiddhi.com. And people can just contact and send an email and saying where you are. And we have a form that people can fill in to say what kind of appointments you want, where you are. Then our team will get back to you and organize a Zoom session. Then I will take it from there and guide you through what you can do within the availability and where you are, what you do. And then when you get a time, you can come to Bali and experience a in-house healing through food, meditation, yoga, counseling, all those things. So the website is the direct way for you to contact us.
Wonderful. I will put the link, of course, in the show notes, so then everybody can find the center and the website. Thank you again for being on the podcast, and it was really nice to talk to you.
Thank you, Dr. Dania. Thank you for doing this.
I hope that this episode gave you some insights and maybe some valuable tips. and I'm happy to connect with you on Instagram or Facebook, where you can find me on Instagram at dr.dania.schumann and on Facebook at Dr. Dania Schumann. Please leave a comment. We always do a post for the current podcast episode, so you can share your thoughts on it. You can also leave a review on Apple Podcasts. I'm more than happy if you rate the podcast, if you share the episode, and if you subscribe to the podcast. And you can also find me on my website, and you find more about my current programs, my courses, and my teacher training to become an Ayurvedic nutritionist on the website. And yeah, I'm happy if you pop by also to find some recipes or some general information about Ayurveda, nutrition and yoga. So you find this on the blog. And yeah, I'm looking forward to connect with you. Shoot me a message if you have any questions, and I wish you a beautiful day, beautiful night, wherever you are right now. Namaste.